NASCAR didn't expect this. Kyle Larson under fire after controversial Pocono inspection drama sparks chaos. It is Saturday morning at Pocono Raceway. The green flag has not waved yet. The engines have not fired. The smell of rubber and fuel hangs in the air, generators hum across the garage, and crews are moving fast, focused, precise, calculating. And then the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet rolls into the inspection line. It doesn't come back out the same way. What happened behind that inspection line was not supposed to define the entire Pocono weekend. But it did. And once the news broke, nothing about this race, or this season, looked the same again. Kyle Larson enters 2026 as the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion. That title should carry weight. It should carry momentum. But here is the reality: Larson has not won a single Cup Series race in over a year, and that fact changes the stakes of everything that happened at Pocono. He heads into the 2.5-mile tricky triangle with 10 top, 10 finishes in 18 Cup Series starts at the track, tantalizingly close to victory lane, but never over the line. He sits 6th in the Cup Series standings, which, on paper, looks manageable. For a defending champion trying to defend a title, 6th place with playoff pressure building is quietly alarming. We are closing in on 500 subscribers here on NASCAR Track Report, and every single one of you is making that happen. If this channel is delivering the real NASCAR breakdowns you can't find anywhere else, hit subscribe right now, drop a like, leave a comment, and share this video with a fellow NASCAR fan. Your support is what makes content like this possible, and we are just getting started. Now, back to Pocono, because this story gets deeper with every layer. Before a single qualifying lap was turned on Saturday at Pocono Raceway, 2 NASCAR Cup Series teams were already facing penalties. The No. 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet of Kyle Larson and the number 78 Live Fast Motorsports Chevrolet driven by Daniel Dye both failed NASCAR inspection twice ahead of practice and qualifying. Not once. Twice. That word matters, because one failure can be a technical oversight, a minor adjustment that didn't hold. 2 failures is a pattern. As a result, both teams lost pit stall selection, a key strategic advantage at Pocono Raceway. But the penalty did not stop there. NASCAR also ejected Larson's car chief, Jesse Saunders, and Dye's engineer, Chris Stanley, for the remainder of the weekend. Jeff Gluck of The Athletic broke the story on X, writing, "Kyle Larson's number 5 car failed inspection twice today at Pocono. He now will lose pit selection for Sunday and his car chief Jesse Saunders has been ejected for the weekend. Same thing for Daniel Dye's number 78 car. The role of a car chief is not a background position. The car chief plays an important role in practice adjustments, qualifying preparation, and race strategy throughout the weekend. Losing Jesse Saunders is not a paperwork consequence, it is the removal of the person responsible for the heartbeat of the entire race operation. And yet, despite that, despite the double failure, despite the ejection, Kyle Larson went out in practice and posted the fastest lap of the entire session. Larson topped the practice session with a lap of 52.722 seconds, comfortably quicker than Denny Hamlin's 52.865. He also led the 10-lap average chart, underlining a strong long-run pace ahead of qualifying. And then in qualifying, the former Cup Series champion posted the second fastest lap and will still roll off from the front row for Sunday's Great American Getaway 400. The contradiction became impossible to ignore. NASCAR sent a man home, ejected him from the property, and the car came out faster than almost every other team on the track. Fans on X responded immediately. One fan posted, "So NASCAR catches the number 5 twice before the race and Larson still runs P1 in practice. Make it make sense." Another wrote, "Penalties don't mean anything if the car's still the fastest thing on the track, lol." And perhaps the most pointed reaction of all came from a fan who asked, "They passed on the 3rd attempt, but what exactly changed between attempt 2 and attempt 3? That's the question nobody's asking." That question did not go away. Because it cuts to the center of something much larger than one inspection at one race. Inspection penalties have become a recurring theme throughout the 2026 NASCAR season as teams continue searching for every possible competitive advantage. It is not uncommon for cars to fail inspection, and it happened several times this season, including the previous weekend at Michigan. At Las Vegas Motor Speedway in March, four different car chiefs were ejected for inspection issues in a single weekend. But those failures were spread across multiple organizations. What happened at Pocono involved Hendrick Motorsports, the most resourced, most scrutinized, and most historically successful organization in Cup Series history. At Pocono, that pursuit of advantage can be especially aggressive. The 2.5-mile tricky triangle features three distinctly different corners, forcing teams to compromise on setup and making track position a critical factor throughout the race. When you operate at the very edge of the rulebook every single week, sometimes you fall off that edge. The question is whether falling off was an accident, or a calculated risk. And then came the pit stall consequence that made the penalty truly concrete. Outside pole sitter Kyle Larson, after failing inspection twice, was placed in the 12th stall. Starting from the front row. Assigned to the 12th pit stall. That is the real penalty. Race day arrived. Hamlin fired off from the pole, but Larson, rolling off second, grabbed the top spot on the initial start and led the first 24 laps. He was out front, without his car chief, from the 12th pit stall, with the entire garage watching every single move the number 5 made. But then Hamlin did what Hamlin does. The 45-year-old, often recognized for his long-run pace, tracked down the two-time series champion at lap 24 with a pass down the front stretch. Larson ultimately finished 5th. Kyle Larson was 5th for Hendrick and Eric Jones was 6th for Legacy as Toyota drivers took 4 of the top 6 spots. And Denny Hamlin? He became the oldest full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series to record his 64th career Cup victory, his 3rd triumph in a row and 4th of the season, passing the late Kyle Busch on the all-time wins list. While Larson's team was fighting inspection penalties, Hamlin was making history. 3 straight victories, a record 8th Pocono win, and a rapidly shrinking gap to the regular season points leader have transformed what was already a strong season into one of the most impressive championship pushes of 2026. Then came the final turn in the story. The race ended. Hamlin won. And then NASCAR announced post-race inspection results. There were no issues for Denny Hamlin. He is officially the winner of the race. But 6 cars were being returned to the road center for further inspection: the number 5 Kyle Larson, number 7 Daniel Suarez, number 12 Ryan Blaney, number 17 Chris Bisha, number 42 John Hunter Nemechek, and number 45 Tyler Reddick. The number 5. Again. The same car that had already failed inspection twice before the race was now being sent to the road center after it. NASCAR's official statement read, "Selection for road inspection does not indicate a rules violation." NASCAR routinely sends vehicles back for additional examination as part of its ongoing competition and inspection process. And then, nothing. No announcement. No violation. No findings. X exploded again. One fan wrote, "They send his car to the road center after failing twice before the race and then, silence. That's not transparency, that's theater." Another posted, "No findings doesn't mean nothing was there. It means nothing was found. Two different things." And a third put it plainly, "The absence of an announcement isn't the same as innocence." NASCAR fans know this. Here is where the argument splits into 2 camps, and both have weight. The first camp says, inspection failures happen constantly in 2026. At Vegas in March, 4 car chiefs were ejected in one weekend. Teams push limits. That is not cheating, that is competing at the highest level of motorsport. The second camp says, this is Hendrick Motorsports. Not a midfield team experimenting with marginal gains. The single most successful organization in NASCAR history, with unlimited resources, elite engineers, and a defending champion who has not won all year. When a team of that caliber fails inspection twice and their car is still the fastest in practice and gets sent to the road center after the race, calling it coincidence becomes difficult. The championship math sharpens the pressure further. Hamlin's surge cut Tyler Reddick's points lead to just 19 points with 8 races remaining before the playoffs. Larson is 6th. Every single point matters. Every fraction of speed is worth millions of dollars and a championship. The argument that sits at the center of all of it is this: if the penalties cost Larson nothing, then what was the point of the penalty? And if they did cost him, why was the car still the fastest in practice? Neither answer is comfortable. This is not just about Kyle Larson or the number 5 Chevrolet. This is about what fans believe happens behind garage doors every single weekend. Elite teams in NASCAR have always operated at the very edge of the rulebook. That is not a scandal, that is the culture of the sport. But when that culture collides with a winless stretch from the defending champion, double inspection failures, post-race road scrutiny, and zero public explanation from NASCAR, trust erodes. The announcement officially confirmed Hamlin's victory and closed out the race result. But it did not close the conversation. The sport has a transparency problem. And Pocono just put it on the biggest screen of the 2026 season. Here is what the record shows: the number 5 failed inspection twice. Jesse Saunders was sent home. The car was still the fastest in practice. Larson finished 5th. The car was sent to the road center. And NASCAR said nothing. The facts are there. What they mean, that is for you to decide. If you think NASCAR owes its fans a real explanation for what happened at Pocono, hit that like button right now. And if you are not subscribed to NASCAR Track Report yet, this is your moment. We are closing in on 500 subscribers and your support is what drives this channel forward. Comment below, do you think the inspection failures at Pocono were an honest mistake, or is there more to the story? Drop your take. Share this video with every NASCAR fan you know, because this conversation deserves to be louder. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you will like what is coming next.